My review of the Pink Floyd album, Ummagumma or Ummagumma, or I don't really know how to say it. It was released in 1969, produced by Pink Floyd. So it's kind of late that I'm filming this one. I had a lot of technical problems with the camera and stuff. So there might not be a video next week. I think I have a way to fix it, but if not, it might take me a while to get a replacement. But hopefully I have that taken care of. So yeah, this album, I don't remember when I got it. Probably, yeah, I have no idea, honestly. I remember when I had it, specific times of having it, but I don't really remember getting it. I don't really remember how often I listen to the live album. I know I've listened to it quite a bit because it's all really familiar to me as I was listening to it tonight, which I'm just going to review both of these. Normally I would kind of split this up, but since there's not really that much to talk about with some of these, I thought it would be easier just to do it all at once. Although I'll kind of rate them separately, and I think I'm going to rank the live albums kind of separately like I did with my Beach Boys things, but kind of in the same video, kind of just at the beginning. So yeah, the live album, I know I've listened to it a lot, but for some reason I just don't have a lot of specific memories of listening to it. The studio album, a lot of people I know don't like, and it is kind of weird, but I do remember listening to it a lot, writing papers and stuff. I just thought it was good background music, so I think I listened to the live album a lot like that too, because it's instrumental. I think I would just kind of put both on, one after the other. They have cool covers though. Back. Anyway, so the live album only has 4 songs, which kind of sucks because the live part's definitely better, and I kind of wish the whole thing was just live like this. The album starts with Astronomy Domine from Piper. This is a longer version. I think even though Dave didn't play guitar on it originally, he does a really good job here. It's also got some really cool keyboard parts from Redwood Trim, which this whole album does. The band as a whole sounds really great playing live here. And in a way, it's kind of it kind of sucks that there's only 4. Well, it really sucks that there's only 4 songs on here, because this is the only live album that I know of this early years of the band. There's so many albums of the later, Dave Gilmour led Roger Ellis Pink Floyd live, which has an army of backing musicians, and it's not the same. It's not it's not bad, but it's just not nearly as cool as this. So anyway, sorry I'm rambling. It's really late. The second song, Careful with the Axe, Eugene, a really cool instrumental that I really like. It's got this really cool keyboard part that kind of starts out, and then it goes has this the whole song kind of just goes crazy at this one point, and it has these crazy Roger Waters screams. I was playing the song way too loud really late earlier, and somebody probably could hear it in one of the other apartments and was probably oh God, what's happening? Because it sounds I don't know, it doesn't even sound like human, his screams in these almost. But just a really cool song. And I used to not even really like instrumentals, and it was really Pink Floyd and instrumentals like this that got me to appreciate instrumental music. The third song, Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun, one that I like a lot more than I do the studio version from A Saucer Full of Secrets. I think that, I don't know, it just sounds so good on here, really cool. Nick's drums sound really good. I think the organ stuff is really cool. Just to me, it sounds a lot better than the studio version. And then the fourth and final track of the live album is Saucer Full of Secrets, which I also like this version a lot better than the studio version from the album, because I don't know, it sounds a lot better. I think the kind of parts where Dave's making his weird guitar noises sound a lot better on like live than they did in the studio, and I think that I like his like singing at the end live better than in the studio. Yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a lot better version and a good way to end the album. But it's just such a shame that there's only 4 songs on this, because this, I feel like, really should have almost been the whole album with what comes on the studio part. So the live album, though, I would say on its own, I would probably give it like a 5 out of 5, which I think I'm just gonna rate these like separately, kind of. As the studio part is definitely the weaker part of the album, and it's kind of, they all 4 kind of did their own thing for it, and I don't think all of it's bad. I think it's kind of just hit and miss. It starts out with Sisyphus parts 1 through 4, which is Richard Wright's kind of piece, and so the first part of it, part 1, has this kind of cool like dark sounding intro thingy, and I like that part. And then the second part kind of goes into this like almost like jazzy piano-y thing, and I like that while he's like actually playing like piano stuff. I think it's cool, but then towards the end it gets a little like noisy, where it's more like slamming on the piano and kind of other like noises coming in. And that part I don't like as much. Then part 3 is kind of this weird, more like keyboard noises and this kind of like high-pitched voice thing, which I've always found kind of annoying. So I kind of never really liked the third part, but I always kind of liked the first 2 parts when I would listen to it. And then the fourth part, which was the one I could never really remember that well, this time I actually liked most of it a lot. It kind of reminded me of something from like almost like Zelda the Majora's Mask is what I was picturing in my head as I was listening to it, for like the first half of it, and then it kind of went into this like more like noise part, and then kind of back to the, I guess, main theme of the first part. So as a whole, the piece of music is kind of like a mixed bag, but I feel like if he had just like, I don't know, cut a little bit of it, it would have probably been better, like the whole third part and like the end of some of the second, and maybe a little bit of like the middle of the fourth part. I don't know, so some of it's just like a little bit too weird, but there's kind of also some cool stuff there. Then it goes into the 2 Roger songs. There's Grantchester Meadows, which is kind of like Roger's doing these like kind of acoustic folk type songs around this time, and it's nice. It's got some cool like acoustic guitar. I've never like, I don't know, I've only ever really listened to it when I listen to this album. It's not something that I really go back and listen to a lot, and it's got kind of like one of the calmest like Roger vocals. Usually when I think of Roger Waters' lead vocals, it's his later kind of like screaming stuff, and you know, the really like intense stuff, but this is actually like kind of a really calm vocal from Roger, which is weird. Then there's I didn't even write down the whole name. Several species of small furry animals gathered together in a cave and grooving with a picked. What's that? How you say that? I don't know. This one's really weird. It's just kind of like Roger making noises with his voice and stuff, I think. And I don't know. It's interesting for like a couple listens. I mean, it's kind of funny. Like, it's cool that yeah, Roger has a sense of humor. That's cool, because usually he seems all serious and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. It's I mean, like, I don't think it's horrible or anything, but it's not something I'm gonna go back and listen to a whole lot. If I'm listening through the whole album, I'm not gonna like skip it. I'll just let it play. But mainly, I'm just like, wow, this is weird. Then The Narrow Way, which is part 1, 2, and 3, is David Gilmour's part. And the first part of it is kind of like some acoustic stuff. And this is always the one, like, I feel like by the time it gets to this song, my attention's kind of like drifting a little bit, or like why it gets to this part. I'm not sure why. I've always found Dave's part, The Narrow Way, the most like forgettable part of the album. So just like the first part's some like acoustic guitar stuff, and then the second part is what I always completely forget. I can't even read my handwriting. Oh yeah, it kind of starts making this weird, I don't know, it's like this weird, like, I don't really know how to describe it, like riff type thing. And it always reminds me of, I always think it's from Sisyphus, but it's not, it's from this song. So that's why I always forget this part, because I think it's part of another song. But like, I don't really know what to think about that part of it. I think it's just kind of weird. And then the third part has vocals, which I've always like, I like this part when it's on, and it's cool to hear, especially since there's like not a lot of singing on this album, and I kind of like wish it was less instrumental by the time I'm getting to this point in it. But other than that, it's just kind of a forgettable part, and I kind of just need to listen to it more, because I can never really, I don't know, it doesn't really stick out, and I can't really remember it that well. And then finally, the last part, Nick Mason has the Grand Vizier's Garden Party, parts 1, 2, and 3. And parts 1 and 2 are kind of similar. They have like, it's kind of like an intro and an outro section with some flute, and I think it was his ex-wife playing the flute. And then the middle part is kind of like a drum solo, and it starts out with kind of like just weird noises, and then kind of goes into a drum solo. So it's kind of, a lot of people really hate the Grand Vizier's Garden Party, I think, but I kind of like it as like a whole. I don't know, I think the two parts of the flute are like nice. They're kind of a nice intro and a nice outro thing. And then the middle drum part, like, it's not the most interesting thing on the record, but it's also like more listenable than some of the other stuff, so I kind of like that one. So a lot of people don't like the Grand Vizier's Garden Party. I think it's kind of maybe one of the better parts on the album. So the studio part, I didn't really write down or rate it for this one. I'd probably say like 3 out of 5. Like, it's just kind of a like good, and I mean, I don't know, some people would probably say it's not like good, it's less, but to me, I like most of it. There's only like a few parts that I'm like, it's not that great, but I don't know, I think it's interesting that they tried this. I think it's kind of cool that they did it once, but I'm glad that they didn't continue in this direction.